Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes,
Sige.
sir.
yes
So
po.
we'll continue our discussion, though we played already the recorded presentation of Miss Hannah Roado, but there are medyo naiksi siya, no? Medyo video clip lang siya. Clip lang yung nabigay sa atin. But then again, let's have this one, geologic time scale. So it is presented that geologic time scale represents what? Ano ba ang pinipresent ng ating geologic time scale? So it divides up the history of the Earth. Basically, when we're referring to the history of Earth, and based on the life forms that have existed during a specific time since the creation of the planet, referring to us or being referred to us, that's geologic time. So these divisions are called, ito yung tinatawag natin doon. By the way, hindi yun epoch, ha, it's epoch. So geochronologic events. So that's the reason why we're referring to geo that pertains to rock, and chronology or the sequence or the time of or the units of time or the events, ano? So most of these life forms are found as fossils. So tinatawag na natin siyang fossils, those life forms found that existed millions of billions years ago. So naging fossils na siya, which are considered to be the remains. Take note on this, that fossils are being considered the remains or traces of an organism from the geologic past that has been preserved in sediment or rock. So without fossils, basically scientists may not have concluded that the Earth has a story that long precedes mankind. So it is through the presence of the fossils that scientists were able to give us discovery and the knowledge of what is really what are those events really happened in the Earth's history. So the geologic time scale is divided into division. So as made mention by Ms. Ruado in her presentation, it is divided into divisions. And there are four divisions: the aeons, eras, periods, and epochs. Now, in eras, this is the next to longest division, yung eras, marked by major changes in the fossil record, while periods, based on types of life existing at the time. Okay? And epochs, shortest subdivision marked by differences in life forms and can vary from continent to continent. Kasi it is during the epoch where there is now the occurrence of divergent and convergent evolution na tinatawag ni Charles Darwin. Later, malalaman natin kung ano-ano yon. Okay. What is geologic time scale? So due to the fact that the early geologists had no way of knowing how the discoveries of the Earth were going to develop, geologists over time have put the time scale together piece by piece. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo, in the discovery with the existence pa before on the belief that we have the Pangaea, that there is really the existence of similar in anatomical and physiological processes of the living organisms present, and nung na-divide na siya into continents, into large masses, habang tumatagal, the discovery made possible by the geologists explained that fossils really give us the evidence of what is really the history happened in our Earth or in the in on Earth. So units were named, ito yung units na yun were named as they were discovered. So kung ano yung order of the discovery, it was then named after those divisions. And sometimes units names were borrowed from local geography. Yung iba kasi pinapangalan na lang, just like for example, kung saang area siya na-discovered, so doon niya pinapangalan na lang sa local or sa areas or sa community na yun. So it's either from a person or from the type of rock that dominated the unit. So we have here the examples, ano? You have the Cambrian, you have the Devonian, the Jurassic, and the Cretaceous. So the Cambrian from the Latin name for whales. So named for exposures of strata found in a type section in Wales by British geologist Adam Sedgwick. So this is an example, ano, kasi yung pinapangalan na lang, kaya kung mapapansin natin, majority of the discovery being named after the scientist, the name of the scientist, or after the local geography, the areas where the remains are being discovered. For this example, you have Cambrian, referring to a Latin name for whales na nakita ng British geologist by Adam Sedgwick. While Devonian, named after significant outcrops. So imagine, first discovered near Devonshire in England. So this is one example of outcrops. While Jurassic, named after named for representative strata first seen in the Jura Mountains by German geologist Humboldt in 1795. While Cretaceous, from the Latin creta, meaning chalk by a Belgian geologist. And take note class that the earliest time of an earth is called the Hadean. So napakita kanina uh, yung Hadean time, and refers to a period of time for which we have no rock record. So that during the Hadean period, simply, kaya it is pinangalan siya kay God na Hades kasi plainly present lang ay gases, methane gases, fire, plain. There are no rocks na record during that time. So which corresponds to the ages of the oldest known rocks on Earth. So this with the Proterozoic Aeon are called the Precambrian Aeon. So the remainder of the geologic time, including the present day, belongs to Phanerozoic Aeon. Remember class that our time now is being classified or divided or identified under Phanerozoic Aeon. Pag Aeon na. So, while the units making up the time scale are called geochronologic events or units. So, the actual rocks formed during those specific time intervals are called stratigraphic units. Kasi sa stratification, kaya kanina pinakita ni Miss Hannah, stratification or it is the order of the layers of the rocks kung saan yung sa superposition na i-present niya kanina na kung ano yung unang nasa ilalim or the classification of the strata or of the strata or the layers of the rocks, that pertains to the time that these rocks have existed. Okay, so later makikita natin. And the actual rock record of a period is called a system. So rocks from the Cambrian period are referred to as the Cambrian system. Ayan. Malinaw ba ito, class? This is actually the summarized one. Kasi kung isa-isahin natin, baka hindi nyo siya gaano maintindihan. Ayan. Nakikita ito, class? Medyo malabo siya. Anyway, pwede nyo siya ma-zoom out sa phone nyo. So, ito mismo ang please take a screenshot, take a photo nito. Kasi ito yung pinaka-summary ng geologic time scale, ano? Ayan, makikita nyo, you have there, sa columns, you have the million years ago, the era, the period, the epoch, the plate tectonics, the events, referring to the plate tectonics events, and the life forms existed during those time. Ano? So, isa-isahin natin. Okay, so you have here the era, you have here the period, the epoch, the plate tectonics, and the life forms that have existed. Now, tingnan nyo, class, during the era, that existed 0.01 to 65 million years ago, during the time of Cenozoic era, this is referred to as the age of mammals. Dito na nagsimula ang mammals na. And during the Mesozoic era, the age of reptiles. Sorry. Pakitandaan ako, class, ha? Okay, again, Cenozoic era, the age of mammals. Mesozoic era, age of reptiles. Then meron din tayong Paleozoic era, the age of invertebrates. Okay, so if we're going to divide that in terms of its time, million years ago, 65 million years ago, that's the Cenozoic, the age of mammals. Then 320 million years ago, that's the Cenozoic, the age of Mesozoic, or the Middle Ages. Ito, I know Middle Ages. Then you have the Paleozoic, or the age of invertebrates, about 540 years ago. Okay? So, eto Precambrian, later na ito. Proceed tayo sa period. So, this is the Cenozoic or the age of mammals is just divided into two periods. I mean, you have the Quaternary period and the Tertiary period. Okay? Now, these periods are subdivided in every period being subdivided into certain epochs. Ayan. Kasi ito yung systematized or organized presentation of the geologic time skill na kailangan not necessarily ma-memorize niyo siya, but ma-master niyo siya. Kasi if the presentation would every era, every period, and every epoch, mahihirapan tayo. So this time, yung quaternary period, by the way, nasusundan ako, class? Nasusundan ako?
Yes, sir.
Alright. So yung quaternary period is divided into two epoch, the Holocene and Pleistocene. Now, talking about the plate tectonics events, so sa Holocene, beaches and barrier islands form, and the life formed are the mastodons become extinct, human culture flourishes, and there is an acceleration or extinction of many species. And during the Pleistocene epoch, ice sheets form, nagkakaroon ng formation of ice sheets, and the modern humans develop, and Asians arrived and settled the Americas or in the Americas. Ano? Sa America nagsettle during the Pleistocene. Proceed tayo sa tertiary period. So, what are those subdivisions or the epochs under tertiary period? So, we have the Pliocene, Miocene, Oligocene, the Eocene, and Paleocene. All right. Let's have first the Pliocene. Now, during the Pliocene, volcanic activity in North America and Africa nangyari, and there is the formation of the Grand Canyon. Ano? So, the life there or yung nabuhay na are the hominins or hominids. Ano? Meron ng hominids na na-develop during the Pliocene. While Miocene, sand hills formed in south, this is south and coast areas of the South America. Ito, ano? In coastal areas. Then there is the horses, there is already the horses, the mastodons, the mammoths, the tigers, and camels lived in South Carolina ito, South Carolina. Okay? Sa South Carolina, nagkaroon na ng animals na nag-emerge during Miocene. While during the Oligocene, Appalachians uplift, erosion increases. So nagkaroon na ng cats, dogs, and apes appear. There is already the existence of these animals. Ano? Then during Eocene, sea levels rise, deposits of marine sediments, limestones in South Carolina, and land bridges form. Okay? And meron ng grass spreads widely, a diverse array of animals develop including whales, rhinos, and elephants. Okay, pakitandaan ako ng mga events, geologic events happen. During Paleocene class, earthquakes are now common. Georgia and embayment, Cape Fur Arc, and forms in southeast portion of the earth. Then there is already the first horses appear that's the size of cat, and tropical plants dominate. Okay. Now, proceed tayo sa Mesozoic era and being subdivided into periods. And these are the Cretaceous, Jurassic, and Triassic. Ano? So, during this period, during Cretaceous period, there is no identified epochs in each period during the Mesozoic era. Okay. Tingnan natin yung plate tectonic event na happened during the Cretaceous time. So there is already a mass extinction occurs at the end of the period caused by a meteorite impact. So dinosaurs, ammonites, and 25% of marine life become extinct. So it started during the Cretaceous period that mass extinction occur. Halos mass extinction, meaning to say, the things being identified or existed during the time of tertiary and quaternary period, halos nawala yon during Cretaceous period. So nagkaroon ng T-Rex develops or yung tinatawag na Archaeopteryx, bird-like dinosaurs, yung mga lumilipad. But number of dinosaurs species decline, snakes appear, and first primates appear. Animals na hindi kagaya nung sa ngayon, angiosperms appear. So meron ng angiospermae. Okay? So, you have also, during the Cretaceous, Jurassic period, Western US, there's the progeny of Rockies. In North America, there's a continued rotation or yung North Carolina, nagro-rotate na siya continuously away from Africa. Okay? So dahan-dahan na siyang umiikot or napapalayo sa Africa. That's during Jurassic time. And first birds appear, then this is the start of the golden age for the dinosaurs. And for the Triassic period, Pangea begins to break apart. Remember this, class, during 248 million years ago, accordingly, Triassic period, Pangea begins to break apart, and there's now the Rocky Mountains and Sierra Nevada form. Again, sana tayo? Jurassic tayo, okay. So Triassic, take note ha, Pangea begins to break, or the huge mass, yung pinakamalaking mass na we believe continents are actually connected from one another before, which we refer to as the Pangea. Okay, so proceed tayo sa Paleozoic Era, okay? So Paleozoic Era tayo, or the age of invertebrates, or yung bony animals, may mga bones na. Then, during the Permian, 248 million years ago lang pala ang Mesozoic. Sorry ha. Again, Mesozoic lasted for about 248 million years ago. Ngayon, dito tayo sa Paleozoic Era, or the age of invertebrates, divided into different periods. Ano? So first is that, first period, class, you have the Permian Period. What are those things happen specifically? Kasi dito, class, mapapansin nyo, majority of the events are plate tectonics in nature. So tingnan muna natin ang Permian. During the Permian Period, Pangea formed and avalanches rise. And 90% of Earth's species become extinct, including trilobites, blastoids, fish, and amphibians because of heavy volcanism in Siberia. Then you have the Carboniferous. Yung Carboniferous is being divided into two, the Pennsylvanian and the Mississippian. No? So you have the Great Swamps develop, yung tandaan nyo, class, yung Carboniferous, or ito yung mga conifers, tinawag siyang Carboniferous, class, it is because it has been the source of carbon deposits, yung conifers na nakikita natin ngayon. Yung mga, kaya doon nakita, during the Pennsylvanian and Mississippians, the great deposit, the a huge deposit of coal. Kasi pinaniwalaan na that's because of the volcanism happened in Siberia. Yun ang nangyari sa mga conifers during the Pennsylvanian and Mississippian. Okay? So reptiles develop from amphibians and flying insects appear. Okay? While Mississippian, much of North America is underwater. Okay? Then first seed plants appear. Sea life flourishes, including corals, brachiopods, blastoids, and bryozoa. Or yung bryozoans, these are the these are plant structure, yung mga seedless and seeded, yung angiospermae na tinatawag natin, the angiosperm. Now, there is also the Devonian period. During the Devonian period, Acadian or the Acadian orogeny in Southern California metamorphism in South Carolina. Okay, nag-metamorphosize na ang Acadian orogeny. So the dominant are now animals, includes fish, amphibians, the evergreens, and ferns appear. Kaya nagkaroon ng evergreens is because there is now the start of the emergence of ferns, then grasses, ayan. And during the Silurian period, there's an extensive erosion na nangyari, and the first land plants appear and land animals follow. It is made possible that after the erosion na-erode yung areas, yung mga matatarik na lugar, after the erosion, the eroded area, here comes now the appearance of land plants. Creatures like yung mga land animals na we know very well that when there's an existence of land animals, of course, they relied on the land plants. That's why it has been discovered accordingly that after the massive and extensive erosion during the Silurian period. After that, we have also the Ordovician period. During this time, there is now the beginning of the construction of the South Carolina and great extinction due to the growth of ice caps, including in what is now the northern Africa. And the first animals with bones appear. The dominant animals include marine invertebrates, including the corals and the trilobites. And the last period during the Paleozoic era, or the age of invertebrates, is the Cambrian. The South Carolina near the equator and island arc continues to move toward North America, and there's the explosion of life, and all existing phyla came into being, or yung sa phylum classification natin. Then, dominant animals, the brachiopods and the trilobites, life forms in warm seas as oxygen levels rose enough to support life. So doon na nagsimula during the Cambrian period, aerobic and anaerobic process wherein the existence of enough oxygen level that supports life started the occurrence also of those animals relying on the presence of the oxygen. No more, hindi na sila nag-rely doon sa tinatawag natin na chemosynthetic organism na nag-rely doon sa chemical compounds. So 4,600 million years ago, here comes now the pre-Cambrian, divided into Hadean, Archean, and Proterozoic ages. Now, Earth takes 10 million years to cool, and initial atmosphere escapes into space, and like the presence of the hydrogen and helium in the core forms the iron and nickel. So volcanic outgassing of water and carbon dioxide occurred for millions of years and helping to build atmosphere